Hi, my name's Nick Broughton and I'm a Randomfish. Hit that subscribe button and let's be Randomfishes together, shall we? Now, I go on and on about how much I love Star Wars. I do it a lot in my Facebook posts, do it a lot in my Twitter posts. I am very much a Star Wars fanatic. So, when every Star Wars movie comes out, I do my best to at least see it multiple times. And I usually have a very good opinion or a very high opinion of certain aspects of it, even if the whole film doesn't exactly overly thrill me. The original trilogy is, as we all know, the Holy Trilogy. The second, the prequel trilogy, is not great, but it's not bad either. There's some very good points about it, despite what everyone moans and bitches about. But recently, since Disney's purchase of Star Wars, they have done multiple movies over multiple years. And one of those recent movies has been Solo, a Star Wars story. Now granted, this is not the Solo Star Wars story Lego minifigure. This is one that I created myself, using a body of an old Han Solo figure. But, you know, he works pretty well, so, you know, he's pretty awesome. But here's the thing. When they made Solo a Star Wars story, I don't quite know what they were thinking. And this is the first time I've watched a Star Wars movie where my exact phrasing has been, okay. I haven't hated it, I haven't loved it. There's not even certain bits about it that really grip me. It's weird. Even during things like everything that's been released recently from Disney in Star Wars terms, from Episode 7 and Episode 8 to Rogue One, I have enjoyed certain aspects of it. The new trilogy obviously the new set of movies has obviously gripped me in a certain way. The lightsaber fights are very cool, along with certain effects and certain cool moments. Rogue One had that amazing Darth Vader killing everybody scene, which quite frankly was insane. But this movie doesn't seem to grip me as much anymore. And I don't get it. There are bits of it that are cool, don't get me wrong, but they don't grip me. And that's what I kind of want Star Wars to do. Star Wars in general should grip me. It should grab me by the scruff of the shirt and go, pay attention to me! But despite everything to the contrary saying that I should love this movie, for some reason I'm not as invested as I was. Does this mean, though, that either my tastes are changing or that Star Wars is becoming more of a straight line than it is of doing this, as it once did? Does it mean that? No. It just means that this is one movie out of however many, 10 now, I believe, movies, that doesn't have some kind of overly redeeming feature. I'll still watch it. I'll still sit through it and I'll still laugh and I'll still have a good time watching it, but it won't be as gripping as the other movies. And that's kind of sad to me sometimes. It's not. Obviously, it's the way of life. You know, certain movies do grip you, certain movies don't. But you know what? Enough of that. Let's move on. So, the story itself is based around a young Han Solo, who of course is just called Han at the beginning, because, you know, you can't have him born with the name Solo, can you? No, you're not allowed to do that, are you? No, you couldn't have one interesting point about the damn character, could ya? Jesus. I mean, you could have done something really cool with this. You could have done this whole thing about how, you know, he came from this not rich, but slightly upper class family that, you know, is a bit snooty, and he buggers off to be a smuggler or something. That would have been cool. No, you had to do the I'm on the streets, I'm all alone, I need to find people to be friends with storyline. God. Again, not a bad story arc, just not one that I personally would have gone with for Star Wars. We haven't really had the whole rebellious person running away from rich family concept. And before anyone starts going on about the likes of Luke or even Padme for that matter, Padme Amidala, she didn't run away from a rich family. She was forced into a goddamn conflict over the stars. It was weird. And as for Luke, Yeah, his parents are really high-end, running a moisture farm on Tatooine, a planet that's about 90 to 98% desert. And if there is water, it's probably one small tap right in the center, right like in about 5,000 degrees of where they where they used to live, of just one droplet of water just occasionally going bloop, as it evaporates in the sun. And it's just insane. I mean, but anyway, the story goes that Han used to have a girlfriend who he was trying to escape from a series of gangsters with. He gets away, she doesn't. He buggers off, tries to become an Imperial pilot, doesn't do very well because, of course, he shirks authority, because, you know, he's a rebel. You then get him joining a group of other characters to go on this big heist for things. He meets up with Chewie. That's kind of cool. Not quite as epic as I would have liked, but still pretty cool. And then you get this whole thing about gangsters betraying gangsters, kids trying to feed their starving families, which was a fairly cool angle to go with. I will give the movie that. It was a fairly cool angle to go with that. And then, of course, you get the one Easter egg that everybody starts complaining about. Darth Maul appearing in Solo. Now, is this technically a bit of a screw-up on their part? I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I mean, Maul had his story. And I do understand that Disney wants to try and prolong what he's got on the screen because, frankly, he pulls in the fans. Because the fans loved him. It was the one thing from episode 1 that most fans agreed on was the most awesome bit about Phantom Menace. But, for me, Maul's story was in the animated series. In Clone Wars and in Rebels, he shined in that. And as nice as it was to see him live action again, I don't know, something about him was kind of lost in the overarch. I don't really feel like they needed to... He didn't feel very necessary to the story. He felt like just a pointless Easter egg thrown in there for a pointless effect. It made all the fans who'd watched the movies but not seen the TV show scratch their heads, and it made even the animated show fans like myself suddenly go, wait, what timeline is this in? Where are we in this? And it just starts off in this gigantic cavalcade of weirdness. And you're probably thinking by all these bitches and moans that I don't like the film. No, I do like it. It's just like I said, it just didn't grip me. And you know what, if you watch this film and you enjoy it, that's fine. But I'm telling you, this film is not one that I'm planning to watch solo ever again. I need other people. I need other people to watch it with. And I need other people to sort of really be engaged with me in this movie. Because it just doesn't grip me as the way his other films used to. Does this mean that I'm worried about the future of Star Wars? Not really. Episode 9 looks to be wrapping up pretty damn well with J.J. Abrams back at the head, so that's quite cool. You've obviously got the Mandalorian show that'll be coming out soon, although that'll mostly be on the Disney streaming website. That's going to be a pain in the ass to find. Or I'm just going to have to wait for the DVDs to come out, which I might just have to, because there's no way in hell that I'm going to be able to pick up the Disney streaming service at this point. But then, of course, we've got all sorts of other things coming out, and, you know, Star Wars is still going to have some fun elements. Are there going to be boring movies? Yes. It was going to happen. The same way I find New Hope slightly boring. Or the same way that I sometimes find little bits of Attack of the Clones quite boring. Attack of the Clones, New Hope, they're boring because of the way that they start out and the way they go for most of the movie until you get to the really action-y based stuff. And unfortunately for me, Solo didn't have that, but it had this weird way of shooting the action that made it feel slightly dull. And I don't know, I guess it just wasn't the same as the other Star Wars movies. But if you fancy seeing a young actor trying to play a Harrison Ford flying the Millennium Falcon, while, frankly, Danny Glover playing Lando Calrissian was brilliant, but he wasn't in this film nearly as enough as I was hoping he'd be. So, well done Disney for that. You could have left him in a little bit longer, couldn't you? You don't. But, you know what? If you fancy watching this film, go ahead. Give it a watch. Randomfish out, people.